Assistant Secretary of the Interior for Water and Science. Dr. Tim Petty, now with us here on Montana Talks. Dr. Petty, great to have you on the show. And are you still in Montana? I know you got a chance to get on the ground yesterday. Good to have you on the show.
Good morning, Aaron. Yes, I'm here still in Montana, actually in Great Falls.
All right. Well, great country. Glad to have you here. And I say that really not just because it's good to have you in Montana, but really it is good to have you here because this project that I know you got your eyes on yesterday is really critical. You know, we talk about agriculture being the number one driver of our economy here in Montana, and that northern tier, the High Line, all along Highway 2, all along that Empire Builder train route, that economy is driven by this irrigation project, by the St. Mary Milk River project, and that's what you were checking out yesterday. Tell us what you saw.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Aaron. It was a whole day, actually, with Senator Daines. He was with me. We were up at what is referred to as St. Mary's Milk River Canal. It actually had over 100 years of incredible operations, and one of the 5 drops failed. And so we were able to get up there. We already have actual 3 different tracos and big operation equipments trying to get those 2 drops fixed, one that was in need of repair and then one that failed, and we're working hard together. And so we had a really good overview and engineering, lots of dirt being already moved, and they're already bringing in concrete forms to keep things active and moving forward. So we're very pleased with that.
Yeah, and I guess what can you tell us? I know when that drop 5, it was kind of drop 5, which basically had a catastrophic failure earlier this year. And I remember getting phone calls from people saying, "Wow, this is huge news. This isn't just you had a pipeline have a little issue. No, this is a big deal when you see a catastrophic failure on an irrigation project like that. I mean, but it also paints the bigger picture of what other concerns do we have on down the line too that need to be addressed."
Yeah, you're exactly right. It's so important. There's so many amazing projects in Montana with infrastructure, agriculture, and water projects. It's a huge priority for President Trump and this administration. We've focused very heavily on working on getting these older infrastructures that have been a huge part of the backbone of what has made Montana such a productive state agriculturally and production-wise. And so just this one project actually implements over 140,000 acres of agricultural irrigation. It has 5 to 8 different municipalities that provide clean drinking water for these communities. And so it's really a vital backbone, and water is life. And if you don't have water, it becomes very dry very quick. So these parts are really dependent on that. So I look forward to continue these efforts in making a great production.
One of the things that we've seen consistently, and of course you're part of the Trump administration, and President Trump and his team have really, this is where they've really led the way on, is just getting the red tape, cutting through all the red tape that's out there. I mean, we even saw this with COVID-19, was that our own government red tape was blocking, solutions, was blocking options when it comes to developing. We've just seen how government red tape gets in the way, and so almost the best thing the Trump administration has been able to do is just find out more ways to cut red tape. I understand that even when it comes to fixing things like this Milk River project and Drop 5, there's other Drop 2 is I understand is in some trouble as well. But yet I know Senator Steve Daines is saying, hey, we got to cut through all this red tape. So there's even red tape getting in the way of repairing some of this infrastructure as well.
That is so true. And even the simple parts become complex. And so we have tore out Drop 2 and are rebuilding it in its entirety. So already all the concrete on Drop 2 had already also been removed. So just some of the red tape that we've been able to withdraw and do extra measures quickly. So one of the things that the federal government was able to get in there quickly and get money up front so we can get that heavier equipment in very quickly. The other part that actually has been a pleasure of just working with the other agencies so that we can work with the state. Senator Daines and Department of Interior was able to work with the state of Canada so that we can have a better, efficient way to bring in concrete effectively and deal with border crossings. And those are the red tapes that could take years. And we were able to, I think, resolve so much of that within weeks. And so those are just the key parts, which gets back to relationships, not only federally with the different agencies, which is a high priority for President Trump. I work with about 6 other federal agencies and assistant secretaries. We meet on a regular basis dealing with water, and we are proactive on not only how do we get things working, but what does it take to get things done. And that's a huge part of what President Trump is all about. He created an executive order that said, you guys amongst yourself, I know you all have parts, you decide who's going to be the lead, and the rest of you support that lead. And that's really how we've operated the last 4 years under this administration, which is we just say, okay, we're going to get this fixed, we're going to get this resolved. Who's going to take point and who's going to be the person that we're going to rely on getting these things done.
I do wonder where we would be if it wasn't a Trump administration, if it was a Clinton administration or something like that. And I say that not to bring politics into it, but hey, at the end of the day, it's an important question, because what we've seen from the Trump administration, when we had a massive, and particularly in the Department of Interior, first under Ryan Zinke, former Montana congressman, and now under Secretary Bernhardt, it's been consistent under the Trump administration, which is, let's just get it done. Let's just fix things. Let's not sit around and bicker about it and get stuck behind red tape. But, we had a massive wildfire outbreak in eastern Montana, and they just made the decision to open the CMR to grazing to provide some relief to ranchers. And they didn't sit around and debate about it for 2 years. They just got it done. When the wildfire, or when a forest fire in Glacier took out a historic cabin there, they got it rebuilt. They're already rebuilt. They've already rebuilt it. This would have taken years under another administration, it seems like.
Yeah, that's part of the huge priorities of just saying who's going to work together to get it done. We've been able to have multiple examples across the West, and specifically in water infrastructure, which I do so much work on, is just cutting back, which normally was mapped or forecasted to take 6 to 8 years. We're doing it in 2 to 3 years. Reports that ended up being 1,500, 2,000 pages. It's like, no, we're going to write this up. We're going to give exactly what we're going to do for 2 to 3 years. We integrate the science and look at exactly what is available and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to work with the state governors. We're going to work with those local communities. We're going to have a solution, and we're going to move forward on it.
Talk about some potential pushback on Capitol Hill. I know Senator Steve Daines is leading the way to make sure you got the resources to get this St. Mary's Milk River project, restored and to keep it running for the future. There's a lot of radical environmental groups that do not, which unfortunately, make up the heart of the Democrat Party right now. They don't want us to live here. They don't want us to farm here. They don't want us to ranch here. If they could just let this thing go away, they could significantly harm agricultural production. So I guess talk about how important it is that we support these efforts on Capitol Hill and get heard on this, because the environmentalists, they want to see some of these irrigation projects go away.
You're exactly right, Aaron. And the important part is not only working together, but coming to actual solutions. And it's just a pleasure to work with Senator Daines. He has such a focus. He wants to really help the communities. These agricultural systems were incredible designs of 100 years ago, and what they did with oxen and horse was just amazing, which brought life and actual vitality in communities to these areas. And so how then do we continue to build a healthy, vibrant community is so much of what we really want to continue to be able to do with this administration. And that's why we have these rule requirements from the president, from the administration, from Secretary Bernhardt on making sure we're on the landscape with these communities so that they can have actual good, clean, healthy water, and yet also manage through the good science, because I think the science completely helps clear what is exactly what we can do with the ecosystems, with fish, those parts are a part of everyone loves to fish, everyone loves the different aspects, and it gives us that ability to work in partnership together, that's for sure.